Maria Kalesnikava became a symbol of defiance in Belarus when President Alexander Lukashenko used the full force of his security apparatus to smash mass pro-democracy demonstrations in 2020. Now she's starving in prison and being held incommunicado in a tiny, stinking cell, where the toilet is a hole in the floor, according to her sister, Tatsiana Komich. Her weight has dropped to just 99 pounds, though she's 5'9", Komich said, putting her life at risk. The Belarus Interior Ministry did not respond to requests for comment on her conditions.
During the last year and a half, my sister Maria is isolated. She's kept incommunicada. There are no calls, there are no letters, no visits of relatives or lawyers. And I just must maybe remind that also Maria had the surgery at the end of 2022 on perforated ulcer. So she needs now a special diet, special food, which she cannot receive actually. And we know that she cannot eat much from the prison menu.
Kalesnikava gained further renown when masked officers snatched her from the street to deport her to Ukraine. She tore her passport into tiny pieces at the border so they couldn't. At her trial, she smiled and danced in a courtroom cage. Kalesnikava was sentenced to 11 years on charges including conspiracy to seize power. Lukashenko, a close ally of Russian President Vladimir Putin, denied this week that there are political prisoners in Belarus. Since early July, he has released 78 people convicted for protest activity, out of around 1,400 designated by human rights groups as political prisoners. But all the leading pro-democracy figures, like Kalesnikava, languish behind bars. And Lukashenko's critics say they see no real change. Komich said Kalesnikava was last allowed to write to her family in February last year.
She also asked about letters and packages, and the answer she got was like, everyone has forgotten about you. We know that also some women saw that administration brought her some letters from outside, but they didn't give it to her. They just tore it up in front of Maria. They torture her, basically. It's psychological, but also physical torture as well.
For Lukashenko, the mass demonstrations of 2020, triggered by an election that the opposition and the West accused him of stealing, marked a watershed in 3 decades of authoritarian rule. Some analysts believe that by crushing them, he burned bridges with the West and became beholden to Putin, a dependence they say could be making him uneasy and prompting the so far limited prisoner releases.